Hello and welcome to the Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. Let's see how much time we have today. Will it be 5 minutes? Will it be 10 minutes? Loom seems to be giving me lots of time these days. So let's use that time wisely. Now, one little story I heard from Jim Rohn this week was quite interesting. Jim Rohn is like a motivational speaker, and sometimes I listen to a little bit of Jim Rohn to just remember to stay positive and to just keep going. Just believe. Believe that you will receive. Believe. Stay positive. Keep moving, And I think it's easy sometimes to just kind of like wonder, hey, is this really going to happen? And but why? Rather than thinking about whether or not something will happen, it's much more valuable to think about the steps that need to be taken to achieve what you want. So he's telling this story, and he said, he says, don't wish that things were easier. Wish that you were better. And he says, one day it was raining, and there was one salesman, and he said, well, it's raining outside, and, people won't be in very good moods, and it's, maybe it's a good day to stay home. And another salesman might be thinking the total opposite. They might be thinking, hey, today's the perfect day to go out. Everyone will be at home, especially the other salesman. So the question is, when you see a problem, what do you see? Do you see a problem or do you see an opportunity? Every time that your competitors see a problem, then if you can see the opportunity, it means you're going to get ahead. So I'll give you some examples. Now, as you remember, we are in the process of, our endeavor is to first create a course for decision level structuring deliverables. So we're talking about this level here. So I teach people how to think using these brainstorming tools. And today I hesitate to call myself a coach, because one of the examples that I want to show you is from a person who calls himself a coach. Now, generally, when I work with people who own their own business, we start with managing C levels. All right, so if you're a CEO, then you're managing C levels. You're managing CPOs. You're managing CFOs. You're managing these people. And you need to understand the overall business model and where your business fits in the market and what's the overall cycle of the business. So we usually start with this checklist here called synergies. Now, how is this going to be helpful for us, this idea of synergies? So there's basically three relationships here, three basic relationships. One relationship is your product leaving the company, going outside of the company. It's called sales. And, how do you get those new customers? And then also we're talking about what is the range of services that you provide? What kind of products do you provide? What are the product features? All right, so do you have an expanding range of services or product features? So that's what we start with, on this side. It's what does the customer need, and then how are you fulfilling those needs? The next one is improving coordination, helping colleagues, and onboarding. All right, so what's happening inside of your factory? What's happening inside of your office? What's going on with the people who are in your office? All right, and then the other area here is the providers. So this is what's coming into your business. What are the services that you receive from other people? What are the raw materials and supplies that you receive from your vendors? So over here we got the inputs. Here we got the factory. And this is also part of the factory, but also sales. And then also here, so this is very generic, improving this element of this business relationship in order to reach this outcome. You can choose your own. So when I show this, now we have three time periods. This is what's going on now. This is your long-term goals. And this is the, how are things going to change over time? So, if you go back to Covey, this is begin with the end in mind. What is it that you're trying to reach? And then here we are, first things first. So how is that relationship going to change and build over time? Oh, we just passed the 5-minute mark. All right, so here we go. What are your responsibilities? So then, what's going on right now? Now, I show this to CEOs, and then very quickly, they pick one. All right, so let's check out this one. All right, so this is the coach. I met this coach. Apparently, his name's Tom. Usually, well, it's not terribly personal, but it's not the author of the book, by the way. So now, what is he saying? So I asked him, like, what are your current responsibilities working in, because he's talking about his range of services as a coach. What are you doing? What are your services? And he says, well, you can just look at my website. Customers can look at my website. So I asked him, like, what do you offer? He's a trained psychiatrist. So, and he also does coaching. He's training for management skills, motivation, psychology of effectiveness, decision-making, time management, how to educate colleagues, leader as a teacher. All right, so that's his menu. And he actually showed me his website. It looked great. All right, so what's the problem? So I said, how would you like the business relationships to change over time? We got your current customers. We got your future customers. All right, so one thing I asked him was, like, how do you discern your customer needs? And he relies on his personal experience. So he just listens to the people, and then he can figure out what they need, which is obviously a psychiatrist or a psychologist. That's what they do. They listen to their patients, and then they make some decisions about what they're going to talk about. And that's actually what I used to do as well. I would just listen to people, and then I would just know what checklist they need. But now it's a little bit different. So now I actually have this set, remember I was working on this. It was just magical because I said, hey, I need some way to help people understand some way to focus on how specifically do Tom's checklists help people and at what level of management. And then magically, wow, it just, it came into my mind. It was really, really amazing. Now, this is what he teaches. So these are very specific skills where I'm teaching Tom's like brainstorming tools so that people can generate insight. It's much, much different. Then I said, well, it's strange how I said, how would you like these relationships to change over time? And he said, well, the change is because of COVID. So people started leading teams remotely, and there's pessimism and uncertainty, and there's difficulty to plan in the future, and they don't know what the headcount will be in the future. So I was like, okay, that doesn't sound very positive. He's the business coach, right? He's supposed to be sounding positive. And he was having a hard time. So, I said, well, it sounds like you would like companies to focus on coaching even when they are solving many other pressing issues. He said, yes, that's what I want. So we created some insight. It was great. Actually, one of the issues was that he used to work for like a company that hired coaches, and then now that company, they have fewer customers now, and so he has to find his end customer all on his own, and that means he has to run some kind of marketing campaign, and he doesn't know anything about marketing. So so he develops his website. Okay, he paid somebody, they made him a website, and now he has to do the marketing, which is like exactly, there you go. So now he's got to go spend a bunch of money and learn how to do marketing. So, all right, so I asked him, like, what long-term goals do you need to focus on for them? So he said companies are not interested in coaching their staff. So it's crazy because it's like, see, every single section he answered with really negative views. Like everything that he was saying was like, it's not possible, it's not possible, it's not possible. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm like, great, because if you're a coach and I'm a coach, like I talk to people every single day. I'm doing marketing right now. I'm making videos. I'm talking about my services. I'm giving examples. I'm helping people see what they can accomplish through my work. And I'm developing digital courses so I can scale my business. And it goes deeper than that. I'm not just trying to create courses. This is the mystery. I'm actually not, like the people who are watching this video right now, you're very unlikely that you're my target audience. The thing is, I'm creating courses for people who want to become coaches. And then what? And then I want to create a platform where coaches can can find the end customer. So then I own the platform, and then every single hour that these coaches are coaching, I get my pound of flesh. So I'm going to be training the coaches, and I'm going to be getting paid when they start coaching. So like I am very clear about what I'm doing. The whole reason I started coaching was to create a coaching business. I read, Tom's book, and I went, wow, this is really good stuff. I like the way that this is shaping my mind. Now, look at these other interesting comments. So I talked to another student. Sometimes I share, I share one student file. I share Tom's student file with Alexei. So I was talking to Alexei today, and he's from Russia, and he's super bright, like super bright. And he's managed teams of thousands of people. And he told me coaching is an expense, not a revenue. He's like, that's why businesses don't want coaching. He said, coaching is training for low-level managers. And I agreed 100%. Because when I work with higher-level managers, some of them like it. Some of them like these checklists, and it helps them to structure some of their thinking. And they enjoy talking to somebody about these things. But it's an expense. It's like I'm just someone they can talk to. And then I help them to structure their thinking. And they already know how to solve these problems. But it just gives them someone to help, through the process of brainstorming. And he said, if senior level managers need coaching, then the company has internal problems. It was so funny. I mean, I was like, oh my goodness. Because I'm supposed to be the coach, right? And he's telling me if your people are using your services, then they got bigger problems in their company. So that was pretty good. Anyways, then we jump into, as you can see, then you jump into the progress checklist, which is here, and the C-level managers, they're going to be talking about creating effects. All right, so how to get them to make coaching a priority, enroll companies in long-term training. I'm not sure that's the answer, but that was his answer. I would like companies to focus on coaching even when okay. So how he wants people to ask for his coaching services. He wants to coach them. I want to train companies using the English language. This guy is from a non-English speaker. He's learning English as a second language. So he needs to run a marketing campaign. He needs to have persuasive power using the English language. Actually, we wrote down some endeavors. Here we were talking about reuses. Anyway, so connecting with previous customers, creating a marketing campaign, and introducing a theme, management in uncertain times. And then he also has to figure out pain points. He has to understand what's going on in the market right now. Because if all the coaches are having problems, then let's solve that problem. Let's figure out who needs a coach and what is pressing in the industry. All right, so that's one example. Now the whole purpose is because I was trying to show you that, look, boom, boom, boom. We got a guy who's worried about his range of services. He's having problems with current or new customers. Now, this one I showed you guys probably yesterday, the day before, a couple days ago. Now, this guy, he is a factory. Now, the funny thing is I also showed this to Alexei. Let's look at some of his changes. So Alexei, he tells me, he's like, no, having a database. Remember this? So this company, they're talking about ability to maintain acceptable levels of risk. So they want to have 3 suppliers for critical parts. They want to maintain a database. He's like, those are not objectives. I'm like, all right, what's the objective? So he's like, guarantee product delivery to our clients. And then he said, if critical, he's like, why do you have the word critical? And I'm like, because this guy's super senior. He started his own business. He's an engineer. So the question is, how can you change the term critical supplier to simply suppliers? So remove the idea of critical supplies. Why are they critical? All right. So, so how to have the ability to maintain supplies during times of supply chain risk. All right. So to plan, the key results, to plan the ordering and management of supplies based on historical mathematical approach, build a relationship with these suppliers, build a warehouse to hold materials in case of material shortages, plan regarding problems that do not exist within historical models, which is called crisis model or force majeure. Now, we also had this discussion, we were talking, because he was talking about decide which materials are interchangeable. Now, he's like, no, not just interchangeable. It's not like getting plastic from one supply chain and then switching it to your second supplier. He's like, how can you reinvent the product? And so we talked about this thing, the wellness box for McDonald's. So it's a multi-use electronic cheeseburger environment control machine, which learns your eating habit and helps you understand your dietary needs. This guy's super bright. He's insanely bright. Now, the thing is, he doesn't have a checklist. He does not want to talk about his business with me at all. I mean, obviously, because I told him I share people's information with other students. And he's like, nah, I'm not showing anything. And I'm not telling you any of my secrets. But if I share it with him, like other students, he'll like fix them. So it's really amazing because I have people coming to me for coaching help. And then I provide what? I provide the empty boxes. That's it. Like, I don't know the answers to people's problems. Well, you think I know how to run a factory? Well, how can you be a coach if you don't know how to run a factory? Like, because I'm just helping people to organize. The thing about, like, sometimes you just need to have the right amount of boxes, and then you put the right things in the right boxes, and then you'll find out where's your empty box, right? So, like, this guy, this factory in South America, he got a lot of insight in this process. And so, yeah, maybe from Alexei's perspective, maybe he doesn't quite have the labeling correct. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Like, the only real difference here is Alexei said, well, he needs to have some materials in storage. And then what? You have to have a relationship with, it's all the same. It's just organized slightly different. So it's fun talking to him, but, at the end of the day, we're still getting to the insight and we're still getting the results. We're still going to get 3. Okay, so we have the world critical, but so what? You have the world critical. Who cares? So anyways, the whole point of this discussion is because, like, this is a C-level. You see, we're doing a C-level talk. Again, we're back to the C-level, and I'm still pushing the C-level. I'm trying to pull people down to the teamwork and inventiveness checklist, but it's taking longer. Because then we're going to get them down to the impact and assumptions. Now all right, so now when we talk about insight, the foundation of Tom's book, it's you have to decide which aspects to analyze. And then aspects to perform. Now, it's this aspects to analyze, which is kind of like, so, for example, in my endeavor, I want to create this course at this decision level. Now, the problem I'm having is, like, once you reach the decision level, it means you've already received some direction from above. And so it's like, how do you teach a course where you have to have specific examples, right? Because what's the model, all right? So how do you start a course telling people that, all right, so let's talk about aspects to analyze. Let's talk about questions and issues. It's too abstract. Like, people are like, okay, questions, issues, I see. What am I supposed to be looking at? All right, so now the point I was trying to make, actually, so I was listening to this, Talks at Google thing. This guy was talking about valuation. And he said, when you're searching for things, you have to know what you're searching for. You have to decide what you're searching for first. And then, so the question is, do you have a top-down management approach? So is it the guys from on high which are telling you what you need to do when you make decisions? Or is it like, are you responding to customer needs? Is it coming from outside of your business and you're bringing in the data from your customers? Or is it your guys above who are telling you what to do? So and this is the point, really. This is what I wanted to talk about today, which let's try to do it quickly because we've been talking for a long time. The thing I'm trying to tell you is that when we jump into this very first checklist, the synergies checklist, when we're like, there's 3 basic areas that I run into all the time. And what are they, really? So I get a lot of people talking about sales and marketing. All right. So that's in this left-hand side, sales and marketing. I get a lot of people talking about product development. That's also kind of in this area. We're doing sales and marketing, product development, it's in there. Then I also get people who are talking about internal controls, KPIs, finance, law, accounting, things like that. That's in the middle here. So improving teams, colleagues, onboarding. This is staff issues. And then I get people who are talking about providers and vendors. So this is like supply chain management. That's over here on the right-hand side. All right, so when I talk about like this course where people are going to create data-driven decisions, it seems like if we start from the very top, from the CEO level, these are kind of the four big categories that people have issues with so far. I mean, I probably could label, a couple more issues. But from the examples, people that I actually talk to every day, I'm getting a lot of people talking about sales and marketing, a lot of people talking about product development, a lot of people talking about internal controls, and I get a lot of people talking about supply chain management. So, in a course where people need to be creating data-driven decisions, I'm assuming that we're going to have some examples in these areas. And in fact, I think I need to go through all of my examples all over again and start pulling out. Yeah. All right, so this is the issue. It's like we go to this week, next week, and all right, so it developed new one-pagers. Have I done any of those new one-pagers? I feel like I could create a one-pager. I had a really interesting talk with a couple of students, but nothing inspiring where I was just like, yeah, I can create a new one-pager. Am I ready to go through the how to create online course videos yet? Not quite. It's still a next week principle. I did those trial lessons and they were all like CEO levels. I talked to Max and it's a slow process. I'll see him again in 2 days. Have checklist specific, robust. So it's really here. I got to read those case studies. All right, so let's add it to this week, next week. So, all right, so I found all those examples. I'm going to delete that, put it all in one place. So really what I need to do is I need to go through all the examples. And I think I also need to, so this is read them and sort them. And then I also need to go through, I feel like I need to go through all 100, maybe it's closer to 120 previous case client files and sort problems. I should say problems or endeavors into categories, because we really need to know like what kind of problems are people trying to solve. Why are people looking for a coach? All right, so go through all the client files again and create a table of endeavors and customer needs. Whew. All right, thanks guys. It's been another episode of Space Between Ideas. I'm Blank Gates.